Yo, what's the deal, family? Welcome back to the Jesus Flores podcast. Today, I filmed a really fun episode with Dom, also known as Dominic, with Rian, and with Gerardo. These three individuals are hilarious. I'll tag them up later on and everything. I want you guys to look into their comedy. They're amazing human beings. They're very caring. They're very intelligent, very creative. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun filming it today. And as always, this episode was sponsored by this foos 7 lessons for burros and bag chasers. We spoke about a variety of different topics. You know, we talked about PC culture, anti-PC culture. We talked about freedom of speech. We talked about some aspects of reincarnation, spirituality. You know, our time together was all over the place, and quite frankly, it's the Jesus Flores style. You know, it's the J Flow style. So you guys are in for a treat. Tap in, enjoy, and as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Rock on, my dudes. Like, fuck those kids. Like that meme, that Jordan meme. Fuck them kids.
The roof is the ceiling.
What's that?
That's a Jordan quote. He was at a kid's camp.
Yeah.
And he goes, the roof is the ceiling.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know, you guys never seen
I
that?
never seen it.
It's the funniest thing of all time. He's trying to give an inspirational speech and he's trying to say, like, the sky's the limit. But he says the roof is the ceiling.
Yeah. I wonder what the kids were thinking. They're like, is this like a clone or what?
So, thinking of that one meme, what are you doing? Stop it. Oh, he did a drug, saying on a drugs ad, and he literally was just like, if you're doing drugs, stop it. What's wrong with you? That's all he said.
It seems like he's probably never done like cocaine or something.
Michael Jordan, he's dabbled, I'm sure.
For sure. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories, bro, about like the NBA players, especially in the past, like prior to like the 2000s, before they were really like checking. I think everyone was most likely like all coked out all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Lynn Bias died, and everyone was like, "Okay, we gotta stop the cocaine, guys."
Yeah. So, guys, you guys have a like I mean, by the looks of it, you guys have had a couple, but like your most recent experiment is Isimo. Is that correct? Is that how you pronounce it? I'm really curious. And like, it's like, well, where did the name come from? I mean, does it matter? Does it not matter? Like, how did you guys come to that?
Well, the
name?
podcast idea for us to do it was Gerardo had an idea and I had this idea separately. We were both like kind of recently wanting to like explore our Mexican culture because we're both, you know, born in the United States, so we didn't grow up speaking Spanish. So that's kind of how the idea came up. We had it separately, and because we had just talked about it in just general conversation, once I knew that this was something that I wanted to do, I hit up Gerardo. And he's actually the one that came up with the name Isimo, if you want to explain that.
Thank you. No, so we were talking on Zoom calls, and I originally wanted to do something because we were doing these comedy shows called Mexican Candy.
Okay. Through Zoom?
No. It was like
prior to COVID.
It's a bunch of friends like me, Ryan, Dom, and a bunch of friends that got together, and we're just talking on Zoom every like Friday and Monday.
Every week we'd have a hangout.
And so we started doing live comedy shows before December because December everything went to shit. Sorry for cussing.
No. Go ahead. I mean, be free.
And so when that happened, I was thinking like we had the live show, and I think we should do a podcast called Mexican Candy. And basically, Dom's the only one that really wanted to do it. And this guy, he's tagging along with her. You know what I'm saying, Brian?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He does not like it when I touch him. Anyway, sorry. No, but when I was younger, so like that happened recently. But when I was younger, there was a guy named, I don't know if you know who Ismo is. Ismo.
Pismo. I know Pismo.
The beach?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about a dude. Like this guy named Ismo is a comedian.
No.
And he's like from Sweden, or what is he?
He's European or something. I don't know. I've seen him on Conan. He's done Conan a couple times.
Okay,
but yeah,
he's done Conan. He's fucking hilarious.
Nah,
I don't know
that. Yankovic's movie, right?
Oh, you're like, no, it's not that.
What? Wasn't he in that Weird Al Yankovic movie? I've never seen it.
Wait, which one?
It's called UHF.
Oh, okay, never mind.
He like.
I thought you were talking about the John
Did he used to have a
Malkovich.
bowl cut?
Yes, I think he
Yeah,
did
yeah.
have a bowl cut.
That-
But his name is Ismo. And when I was younger, when I was like in college, I think I saw one of his YouTube videos. I was like, that'd be dope, because I was like a huge kind of sketch guy. I would made a lot of sketches when I was younger, and I wanted to make a sketch group called Isimo, because just like to add the I in Ismo, and Isimo is like people always call me fat, so Isimo is kind of
like extra, right?
Yeah, I hit out of Isimo because I was large.
What the fuck are you looking at me?
I didn't do that. No,
You're the one that. It's like, what do you think? Well, I mean, in a sense, I mean, is it like almost like looking into the future and shit and being like, yo, that's how. I mean, I try not to have expectations of anything, because like usually when I have any sort of expectation of anything, I usually end up being like really disappointed. But do you have any expectations for your creation?
Expectations come with resentment. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
if you expect something, you're just waiting to get a resentment about it. That's the way I feel about it. So I don't really know. I just live in the moment. I do a bunch of work. I'm a worker. I'm a work whore. I'm a workhorse. I work a lot.
Gerardo's
Yeah.
addicted to work.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of workhorses, did you guys ever watch the movie Sorry to Bother You?
Yeah. I saw that. I actually just saw that a couple months ago, like in the middle of quarantine.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was good. I mean, if we want to dive deep into it, like, I like the messages that they're spreading. Boots Riley's a really smart dude. I had never heard about him until the
movie?
his name popped up, but I learned about him mainly through the movie. And like, yeah, it's interesting though, because it feels like, because it was put through the Sundance workshops, and I feel like they tried to impose some change. Whenever you have a project that's developed by an institution like Sundance Fellowship, you can definitely see where the artist is forced to make compromises and to add stuff on. Like in Sorry to Bother You, the story takes like a strong left turn in the middle of the movie to where it's about something entirely different than what it started as. And then at the very end, where it's like he turns into the workhorse people, like he comes back for revenge. That felt like it was tacked on. Like it felt a little forced, just for like white sympathy or like white feelings of like there being like some type of revenge at the end.
Yeah, so you guys should watch it. Like,
Yeah, no, I'm looking it up right now.
It's super fucking creative. That one.
That's the
Okay.
That
Yeah.
one. I wish I could like pull up a quick little like trailer, but I don't have shit. But like, I mean, I love like I think they call it magical realism. That's like my favorite type of movie, because you know, if you have an ability like as a creative or as an artist to offer a valid critique of society and make it in a way that's funny or cool. I mean, I think like that's the most beautiful thing about being an artist, or like you guys are comedians. When you guys create your art and you go in front of a stage, what do you feel is like your main purpose? Like, what is your main? I mean, obviously to make people laugh.
Oh yeah.
But what's the next like objective as a comedian? Would you say, Ryan?
I mean, it really all depends on like points of view, because there's a lot of different people who have like different reasons for why they start comedy, and that kind of feeds into what kind of message they present in their comedy. Like my jokes, I would say, are very simple. They're like easy, relatable jokes, but there is this because of who I am as a person, there is this kind of subtle underlining of like my most popular joke uses talks about schizophrenia. The joke isn't about schizophrenia. It's about me not knowing what the word acute means, but it's like a comfortable way for people to have a conversation about schizophrenia without realizing it. Like it normalizes saying that word over and over without anyone feeling awkward about it. So it's like, I wouldn't say I do that on purpose. That is but it is an unintentional benefit of my kind of comedy, is because it's never the joke, the punchline. It allows people to comfortably hear these terms and still think that my comedy is funny. Like I talk about being queer, I talk about having neurodiversity, and I even have jokes that comment on my experience as a person of color. But like they're all still silly jokes, so nobody's ever like upset about it afterward.
Yeah, so it's kind of like softening up the terrain for like people to walk on in case they're like, no, like fuck that, there's too much glass around there. Like, I don't want to step on that. You're like, dude, you got shoes.
Yeah, right. For me, when it came to like art, I always was a musician. I learned how to music like really young. My uncle Pancho taught me how to play guitar.
Sick.
Yeah, so for me,
so what was like your favorite song growing up?
Nasty Sex. Well, the first song I learned how to play was it's a real song. It's a great song. It's called Nasty Sex by La Revolución de Emiliano Zapata.
Oh shit.
So it's a bunch of Mexicans that made a song in English, and it's the funniest shit of all time because they have the gnarliest accents.
Sounds lit.
So like, my baby kind of like me, you know? They're trying to be like CCR at that time, you know? And they made this song that is basically like Born on the Bayou, but with their own words. So it's the same exact rhythm pattern, except Mexicans made it. Anyways, and that was me as younger. Now that I'm Isimo, I'm like Mexican everything, you know? But what's it called? When I was learning how to play music, I always looked at like writing a song as like solving a problem. I feel this way about something, and I need to solve that problem. So I need to like express myself in a certain way in order to basically just feel justified with how I feel about a certain thing, whether it's a girl, mostly girls, or you know whatever else I want to write a song about. Like not wanting to grow old, you know. How do I fix that in my mind to be okay with growing old, you know? And you know the means don't justify the ends, because at the end of the day with comedy, you want to make people to laugh, you know. But I always try to attack something by like solving a problem. I'm like, there's an issue I have with this thing. Maybe it's not even me presenting the issue. It's just an observation. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to make you laugh. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And you know, you brought up a really weird and interesting point that often, you know, I think about, like, I don't know why, but like I often think about and I contemplate like my own mortality. And sometimes it kind of puts me into like a dark hole where like I'm just like, fuck it, why do anything?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm like, that's the reason why I do anything. Like I know that there's like my time is gonna expire.
Yeah.
And I don't know when exactly, and I'd rather not know. Like some people are like, yo, would you like want to know? And I'm like, fuck no. Like I don't want to fucking know. That would fucking terrify me.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I really do everything, is because like my life is very, very scarce, and I'm about to hit 30, bro.
Yeah.
That shit fucking, I can feel it, dude.
I'm 30 right here.
Physically.
Yeah.
Fucking when I drink and shit, I can't even fucking drink anymore. Like, dude, I swear to God, I had like fucking 4 or 5 beers last time, and I woke up feeling like shit. I was like, am I supposed to fucking quit this shit or what?
Yeah.
But like, I would really like to quit drinking alcohol, but I just can't. Like, I don't think I made a real effort for it.
Yeah.
And then plus, like, all the homies, bro, like, if we're like chilling, there's gonna be some type of modelos or something.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll have a little drink. What about you, bro? Why did you get into comedy? Why do you do comedy?
I mean, I don't know. Why did I get into comedy? The story about me getting into comedy was very lackluster. It was literally like, I've always been fond of comedy as like, I've been a fan. And I was going to where Ryan's my brother, but where I met Gerardo there's an open mic in Covina called Chatterbox. And it's probably the best place to do comedy in LA County. But I would just go to hang out. My older brother took me there because he started going, and then the producer started seeing me show up like every week, and he's like, "Are you ever gonna go up, or like what? Do you just like comedy?" And I was like, I don't know why. I was just like, I don't know. I'm working on it. I'm thinking about it. And he was like, "Dude, just do it." He was like, "Just do it. Just go up." And he said, "You're either gonna hate it and you're never gonna do it again, or you're gonna love it and it's gonna ruin your life." And so literally I went up the next week that they had it, and I didn't bomb, but I didn't. You were there. No. I wouldn't say that I bombed. Looking back, like I got a lot of pity laughs. Usually when you go up the first time, you announce it.
Yeah, exactly.
People will announce it. If it's a good mic and it's a good host, a kind host, they'll say, "Give it up for this guy, it's his first time doing comedy." And then people know to like go easy on you, and like they give you a little bit more laughs. So I probably got some pity laughs. I didn't crush, I didn't do great, but I remember distinctly like when I was done and I was walking off the stage, I remember distinctly like thinking like, oh, I can do this. And that's kind of what it's been for me, is just like it turned into something that I like to do and that I wanted to do. And as far as like expressing myself or like how I use comedy, I mean, I'm still figuring it out. I've been doing it for 5 years, and I kind of like am figuring out how I'm trying to use my voice. But my attitude lately has been like, I'm kind of like reverse anti-PC culture, where like there's these like.
So you're trying to maintain it.
Well, I'm trying to show, like, the way that I do my comedy is I'm trying to show, like, you can do PC comedy well. One, you don't have to, like, being PC doesn't mean that it's not good. But also, to the same point, I do it as aggressively and at the same quality as somebody, or I strive for the same quality as somebody, like, not to compare myself, but, like, somebody that everybody knows, somebody like Bill Burr, who's very like anti-PC. You know, he calls out a lot of stuff, and he's very funny, he's very smart, and he's very good at what he does. But like my goal is to show like, oh, you can do that too, be just as good, be just as funny, but still kind of like maintain respect for other people.
Yeah. It kind of seems like the Kevin Hart angle. I mean, Kevin Hart seems to be like that dude where he had a rough past, right?
Yeah.
Saying all sorts of fucking crazy bullshit. Which, in a sense, also like I don't think it's kind of cool, dude, to go through your Twitter and go to what you were saying when you were 18 years old and be like, "See, I told you, this guy's fucking problematic."
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, like, I think that's one of my biggest quarrels with the PC culture. It's like being able to just kind of like pick and choose.
Yeah.
Like especially in our past, like, bro, what the fuck? I'm still a moron.
Like to me, PC culture is asking for growth, but not accepting any growth. You know what I mean? At the same time,
Yeah.
They're asking for us to grow as people, but if you were one way, you're always going to be that way. Which that's the only like I can't really connect with that, bro. If I had a Twitter, I don't understand Twitter. I post to Twitter, but I don't even use my real name on Twitter. My name is Gerardo Al Capone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because I just think it's the dumbest thing of all time. No offense, Twitter users.
I mean, I don't use it
I use
like.
it for like tour dates or show dates.
Oh, okay.
That's smart.
But see, also, maybe because I don't get likes on Twitter. Nobody likes what I say on Twitter.
Twitter's the worst platform in my opinion. It's just everybody being sarcastic and everybody posturing like if they've been pure. Like to your point about like PC culture, like okay, so when the Me Too movement started like 4 or 5 years ago, when everything kind of started popping off and things started leaning heavily towards PC.
2014?
Yeah, 2014 and like I get where it sprouted from. Like it was this, everybody felt this, that they finally had the opportunity to voice opinion and everything. Now they had the power to take stuff down that we've been wanting to for years and years because our voices have been suppressed. And now the culture's shifting. But yeah, it's shifted way too far where it's like, yeah, you're not allowing people to grow, but you're also picking on people for stuff that like is way in the past that you should judge people by their actions now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, and that's the thing too, is what sucks is some of the loudest people, and one of the things too is that I used to be like this, like I used to be very aggressive in calling people out and like being very holier than thou. And then at a certain point, you know, I'm 29, you reach a certain age and you're just like, fuck dude, I'm not perfect and none of these people are perfect. But there's a culture surrounding the idea that we are all pure and perfect and that we don't make mistakes until someone calls you out, and then you have to grovel like for acceptance or for redemption.
Yeah.
So
would you say there was a point where you were engaging in some type of like virtual signaling, like, hey, I'm fucking woke and I want to make sure that you guys know that I'm not problematic?
Well, Dominic has argument against even saying woke to begin with.
yeah, I don't like the term woke. Woke was co-opted. Like, so woke started from a meme, as far as I can remember, as far as I can tell. The term woke was actually used to describe people that were enlightened on government corruption, government like oppression, government enforced oppression, dealing heavily with racism. But white people and anti-PC people, conservatives and all this stuff started using the term woke as this blanket this blanket term for people trying to be like sensitive to people's feelings and like sensitive to stuff like homophobia and misogyny and all this stuff. Like, yeah, like it's just like used incorrectly.
And the only time I ever claimed to be woke was when I saw like Tower 7 go down. I'm like, I'm woke as fuck, you know what I mean? That's the only time. When I was younger, and I would tell people like, I'm fucking woke. You know?
Yeah.
But as far as like proclaiming it or like feeling it, I think feeling it is more so what I think you're asking. Is like, well, I'm fucking woke, dude.
Yeah, well, it's more like, I think the more proper word, if there's a word for anything, is like expanding your consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And understanding the oppressive layers of society.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, as humans of color, like, we have certain lived experiences that we just can't fucking ignore.
Yeah.
Like, I was listening to two smart people debate about like critical race theory, Mark Lamont, and some random white guy, you know? And Mark Lamont he's great at arguing, right? Mm-hmm. And he made a very clear point. I'm sorry about that. Okay. About starting getting a fight and shit. And it's like, yo, man, like, I've been stopped by fucking police before for no fucking reason, dude.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'll be in a fucking white neighborhood, chilling, bro. Like, literally, bro, this one time, my ex-girlfriend lived, like, in West Covina area.
Yeah.
And it's not even that white, but it's white enough to where I was chilling in my car, and the guy just stopped, and he just started, like, frisking and abusing me, and I was just like, why?
Yeah.
So, you know, the counter-arguments to, you know, critical race theory is, like, separate yourself from race and just be an individual. Like, yes, I do believe that we're all special and beautiful and individuals, but the system doesn't see me like that.
Yeah.
They see me as a threat.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not even black, dude. You know, like, imagine being in those shoes. It's like, shit really, really changes by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, you know, I would say personally, I've never met a level of adversity that was like intense, like worth sharing. But it is still mild stuff. Like, I've been followed around at a store, you know, when I put on a sweater, and like literally, I had a job in Pasadena where I would have to pick up supplies for them sometimes. So I'd walk down to the container store to pick the supplies we need, and back to back 2 days in a row. One day I wore a hoodie and this woman followed me around. And even when I was in line to pay, she was like making sure I didn't take anything. Literally the next day, I came without a sweater and I was like in a nice work shirt and my apron, and she just said hi to me and let me pass. And I was like, so brown guys can't wear sweaters though? I was like, yeah. So it's just like, I have felt, you know, the general stuff that we kind of all go through, but I've never really specifically been singled out as a person of color or as a Latino person to that extent, where it's like, you know, I think once I've gotten questioned by an officer, but it was because I was drunk and I was walking from a friend's house to my house.
You had a reason.
Yeah, it was like, I do look suspicious right now. It's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, like, yeah, it's been like very mild for me, I would say.
Yeah. Is it like, for example, because clearly, as you described earlier, you have multiple like different layers in your identity.
Yeah.
Like, how important is that? Like, how important is like your identity to the way that you navigate our society?
It's tough to say. It's like there's definitely a balance. Like, going back to something that was said earlier about like being woke. I don't like the term woke either, because it does feel very like, especially at this point, like
burnt out, huh?
Burnt out and like kind of commercial. Like it's people say it because it's a buzzword.
It's colloquial.
Kind of. One time I was having a conversation with my friend about this, when I was describing like how my viewpoints on racial equality and on feminism. I won't get into that right now. But afterwards, she was like, you know what, you're very self-aware. And I was like, that feels way better than calling me woke. Like,
self-aware.
Yeah, like, I'm just not a dick to other people because I'm aware of how I am. Like,
Yeah.
I would say otherwise.
You're like, you fucking asshole. On the way over here, you're fucking cussing me out.
Of course you would, you fucking nerd. I'm just kidding.
Why don't you let me touch you and hug you instead?
That was the worst way to phrase it.
It depends on how you're trying to touch me.
You're so self-aware, why wouldn't you?
He doesn't like hugs.
I don't like that.
Bro, I feel you.
That was like, that's another funny thing. People get so disappointed that I don't like hugs because I'm like a big guy and I have a soft-spoken voice.
Yes.
Like, they want to hug me. And I will say this for to set the record straight.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you shouldn't tell more people. Because I'm a hugger, dude.
I don't.
And you tell me you don't want to hug, and I'm like, he hasn't had my hug yet. You know what I mean?
I guess
So how do you know you don't like him? You never tried it before.
Yeah. It's not that I like don't like the concept of hug. I do appreciate the concept of embracing somebody and like the comfort that's supposed to come from that. I'm just too physically aware of my body to be comfortable being hugged. It's very warm and tight, and I'm claustrophobic. I just don't physically like the feeling of getting hugged. It's a physical thing.
Alright, if you're claustrophobic, I'll hug you from behind.
That doesn't.
So you can feel free through
Yeah,
the front.
So you have no idea. So you don't see it coming.
I don't know. I mean, there's got to be some shit behind that, but like, I don't like hugs either.
Yeah.
And like, in my other relationship that I was in before, like she used to tell me all the time that I wasn't affectionate enough.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you got a point.
I mean, you gotta learn your love languages.
Oh, that's so true.
5 love languages.
Go for it, dude.
Physical touch.
Happiness.
Physical touch. Gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service.
Mhm.
We all give,
Okay.
communicate love, and we all receive love different ways. So
Yeah.
if you're not a physical touch person, that's not you give love, then like, it's good to communicate those things, but they shouldn't expect that much from you. It's like we need to recognize how we both give and receive love. Like, I mean, as a partner, you should obviously like, okay, I need to be more physically affectionate because that's how she likes to receive love. But also she needs to recognize, oh, hey, he's not good at that. What does he do? Like for you, you probably like to give gifts or something. Or like, I mean, I don't know. But I'm saying like, if that's what you like to do, maybe you bring home tacos and that's how you show that you care about this person.
Yeah.
That needs to be recognized as like, oh, he's sharing his love. We're all just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's a funny thing too, is technically one of my love languages for receiving is touch. I literally just don't like hugs.
Okay.
Like one of my exes
That's
used to
clarifying.
like pet my hair and like scratch it, and like I like that. I like how that feels. I just don't like hugs. Literally
So now
just
throw it,
hugs.
now you know what to do.
I don't like I don't like being embraced.
Start
It's
braiding
warm.
his hair on the way back.
It's also like my body doesn't know how to regulate heat properly, so when people touch me, that section gets really warm,
Yeah.
and that's why it's so uncomfortable for me. Like I sweat, and I'm like aware of it, and sometimes I like this isn't why, but just this has happened almost every time a friend of ours has tried to hug me. Is I had to fart in that moment. It's like I can't hug you right now,
Yeah.
and I make a face, and that face is on Instagram now because someone's
Yeah.
got to shut up.
Yeah, people take pictures of him while we hug him.
It's weird.
Honestly, we need to ask for more consent.
It's because they needed proof that I'm always making a face when they hug me.
Yeah. You're like, I'm fucking uncomfortable.
Now you can get one of those head massagers, those wire things.
Oh, yeah.
Just go behind them like this.
What's up, Ryan?
What's up, Ryan?
Don't
Tried
do
it?
that.
I had one. It feels weird the first time because
It's
it's like
fun.
super. I love it, but also I have like a lot of tension in my head, so like it's like I melt.
Speaking of like heads, not receiving head, but like,
I did think that for a second. I'll be honest.
what do you guys think about Neuralink?
Oh.
It's just your
You
Your
had
thoughts?
this conversation on this, didn't you?
Yeah, I forget what I was trying to.
basically it's like one of the Elon's ideas about installing a little microchip in someone's brain that's gonna allow you to know what other people are thinking.
Or have like access to information immediately.
Unlimited internet access. That's gonna be accessible in your brain. Like, hey,
Well, if it's 5G, I'll take it.
It seems necessary. Like it seems you could just research that.
I don't know how.
Yeah, it works
I mean,
out.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I
Go
feel
to
like
the
I don't know if
library.
that's even possible. Like, because I don't know. There's a lot of studies on like neurobiology, or I don't know what the study of the brain is, but like we still don't know what consciousness is. It's a running joke. It's a taboo topic where like a lot of neurobiologists. I'm sorry if that's not the proper term for somebody that studies the brain, but
Neurologist.
There you go.
Neurologist.
Neurologist.
All of those
I
are
said
correct.
neurobiologist. Whatever. There's a joke within the community. It's like, how do you lose funding? Just mention the C word, which is consciousness. Like, so whenever you try to study consciousness, it's a dead end. So that's why I'm like, because we don't know where it's located. It's not, and there's theories that it's not even located within the brain itself. It's like the human as a whole. There's something else going on.
So like more like a spiritual thing.
I mean, they probably wouldn't explain it that way, but that's how I feel about it. Like if we're getting, I don't know why I'm turning it this way, but if we're getting into like those like existential beliefs, like I believe in reincarnation and like many lives and a shared experience, a shared consciousness. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but it feels like we just don't know so much about how the brain functions, about where memory is stored. And Gerardo wants to say something.
No. I'm
Okay.
He's
waiting.
just
I'm speaking with my ears right now.
But yeah, like that whole Neuralink thing. I mean, it sounds like it would be cool, but then it's like, I don't know.
You live in a simulation, dude. Why not put a chip in your brain, bro?
I'm not saying not to do it, but also if you do that, it opens up a whole world of like, okay, let's take all of this like existentialism out of it, right? Let's just say that it is possible. Like tomorrow, they're doing it, right?
Sure.
You know how much like fraud goes up because of people hacking bank accounts, stealing social security numbers, stealing your fucking facial recognition, like all of these things, and then now you're gonna like link up your brain to a microchip that somebody could just hack and like fuck with all your memories, like get all of your passwords, get like everything, steal your identity that way. You're gonna if it is possible, you're gonna open yourself up to that.
This opens up a new conversation.
I'm just imagining like a customer service for that.
We're
Like
talking-
you just get a thought like, "Hi, my name is Dave. We just want to make sure this last purchase was you."
I'm on stage right now, Dave. We're talking humans versus computers. Now, I'm always on the side of humans, and we're talking about it at a molecular level here. How big is the chip?
I don't know.
I mean, let's assume. Okay, so I just saw a study about a week ago. They created the smallest fucking chip ever, which is smaller than a grain of salt. And what it can do at this moment in time is determine the temperature of your body, and that.
It's looking at thermometer.
I'm not saying that I should do it or that you should do it.
Those are big.
No, but the idea though is that they're currently already creating technology that is gonna send Wi-Fi signals to an exterior piece of technology that is smaller than a grain of salt, or I said earlier, sand. So it's gonna be fucking small.
Check it out.
I think. I don't know.
It's
About 98 degrees.
just get a laptop.
No, I don't know. You know what? I'll say it right now, dude. Fuck you if you like computers that much.
I have seen there was a documentary about people who get augmentations, like living cyborgs. There's a woman who, for no reason other than she wanted to, she like literally they just want a piece of technology inside them. She has a seismograph link in her wrist, so that her brain vibrates every time there's an earthquake anywhere in the world.
Oh,
Sick.
shit.
And that sounds
Sick, dude.
exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey.
Because she wanted a robot part in her body.
That'd be cool
That's
if like
literally the only reason. They don't care what it is. If you can, it's like that episode of Futurama. Like I don't care what you put inside me, as long as you put something inside.
that'd be cool if like you had your YouTube notifications like
Dude, that would
like
drive me
synced up
That'd be
with, like,
annoying.
every time like Gary Vee.
You don't
drops a
hear
video,
anything for
like,
weeks. That's even worse.
No, I mean that's hella well, I can't say it right, but Pavlovian, where I mean you're gonna be trained, bro. But we're already trained. That's my thing. It's like this chip. I'm already fucking addicted to it. It's this shit, and I'm very open about it because I swear to God, I'm just on this bullshit out.
Yeah, I think there's different ways you can frame things. Like we're on TikTok a lot, right?
Yeah.
We're talkers.
Sure.
I see. That's what I'm talking about. TikTok, you don't stop. I see it as a tool
Sure.
for an objective I have, right?
Yeah.
But I don't see it as my objective is not to be a TikToker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My objective is to develop a platform where basically my platform pays for my life.
Sure.
Really, it's like, you know, I hate to base it off of money, but it's like I would like to create and develop things that I'm interested in with an audience that's willing to fund it for me.
Sure.
In essence,
Yeah.
you know. And you know, seeing things as tools, like this phone, for instance, as a tool, like me looking at it and whatnot, or responding immediately to a person that enjoys what we do, is just a way of developing that. My stomach is rumbling right now, like it's a dust cloud in there or something. Sorry.
You're hungry though?
No, I need a shit. I'm just kidding. I don't have
I was about to say, go, dog. Blast that shit.
Okay, I'm down. You got it right later. No, but I see it as a tool. I see everything as a tool. Like this, it's a necessity in my life. You know, but it's not something I'm addicted to. You know what I mean? I'm addicted to drinking and doing cocaine and smoking weed. You know, that's why I don't do those things, right? If I was addicted to something, I wouldn't. I'm looking to get away from that thing.
See what you're saying?
I mean, I'm addicted to nicotine, but that's about it now. You know, I don't know.
So you're talking about utilizing it as a tool, which is obviously probably the primary thing that anyone should be utilizing. Like if you have access to some resource or tool.
Well, I'm really talking about having an objective. You know, like when you're an actor, you don't act like off of lines and stuff. You act off of an objective. The lines are tools to let the audience know what you want as an actor. Like as an actor, you want to make this guy. I don't know. You have to have a verb. Like I want to develop a platform. That's my goal, my objective. You know, these other things are just lines in my script that help me out to get there. You know.
So what are you willing to trade to make sure that you complete that objective?
Illuminati, hit me up.
I have my soul for sale.
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm willing to trade hard work.
Yeah.
I work hard on all this, you know.
Yeah.
Develop relationships. I'm willing to do that. You know, like I'm willing to go as far as I need to go in my own means, without me losing a penny. Also at the same time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with like investing. I would see it more as an investment. Like if you have some $1,000. And you're like, I really need to get this fucking camera for, whatever. Like, is it really like a loss or?
No, that's me. That's all me. Like, but I'm not gonna be paying to get people to see my shit. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
Like, I find that to be gross.
It's weird.
And I wouldn't mind if a company paid for people to see my shit. Like that's like some kind of like the adverts that help you when you kind of develop a platform.
Yeah.
Where it's like, now we need to boost this because we have a lot of money invested in this guy. Yeah. Like if I put money in Dom, I want Dom to get seen by as many people as possible. That's not Dom's money. He's the performer. I'm not interested in being an audience member. I'm interested in being the performer.
To that end, if you think about it this way, like staying away from like you said, I shouldn't have to pay for people to see me. They should pay to see me, right? But also at the same time, like that kind of thinking where some people are like, no, this is what you have to do. You just have to pay for ad space, or you have to pay to boost your videos or whatever. What that does in turn is promote the idea that the only people that can survive are people with money. That's why we see like so many rich people hide their wealth and then secretly fund their projects, and then people think like, oh well, they're just super talented and they work hard. It's like, no, because they hire a publicist and because they hire all these other people because they got the pocket change for it. And it's like, we should be wise to that and like steer away from that kind of behavior and like believe in yourself. I mean, most of this stuff, all of the stuff that I'm saying is like kind of regurgitating what Gerardo has been saying. Because a lot of the ways that I think too, I've always been very anti-capitalist, and that kind of combined with just Gerardo just being like, believe in yourself and like be confident that what you make, people are going to want to consume. And like, if you do that and you continue to do things well, like it's inevitable.
It's confidence. It's not like The Secret. The Secret isn't like, if I think it's going to happen,
Not manifestation.
It's not manifesting it. It's like, if I'm confident in what I'm doing, I'm going to sell what I'm doing with confidence, Right. And I'm not trying to buy, if somebody came up to me and was like, hey, these chips, I think they're pretty good if you want them, Like, Frito-Lay. Yeah, right? Frito-Lay didn't get that far doing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They fucking were confident in their product and they mass produced it. And there was a demand for it,
Yeah. So I mean, it kind of does seem to me that we live in some interesting balance between both, where people without resources definitely shine. Whether you're on IG, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on TikTok, whatever. Like, if you're fucking badass and hilarious, you're probably gonna shine, just straight up. But on the other hand, you made a really important point about people who are already balling. Like, they're gonna fucking find their shit to the max.
Yeah.
They're gonna have the best producers. They're gonna have the best technology. They're gonna have the best research, data, and all that bullshit.
Yeah, it's annoying, like Dave Chappelle starting a podcast, in my opinion. It's like, all right, dog, start an open mic too. It's like, why are you doing this? You could have your own TV show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could have it behind a paywall. Why do you have to label this thing as a podcast? You know what I mean?
But what's the problem with that, though?
We are making podcasts. You understand?
Yeah.
And it kind of like nulls what we're doing in a way. I believe he's able to go to any fucking network he wants and create a show.
Yes.
And he could demand that they put it behind a paywall, whether it be a web service or whatever it is. You know?
I mean, he had the biggest contract with Netflix for all of his specials of any other comedian. Like he's saying, he could go anywhere he wants.
Why come out with a podcast?
There's a big difference between Joe Rogan starting a podcast before podcasting was big and becoming the biggest podcaster in the industry, and then somebody like Dave Chappelle
in 2021.
In 2021, after it's been established, and then just starting a podcast
and being my direct competition. You know,
Wait, but don't you guys think it's more about like personal freedom and him being like, you know what, like your podcast is directed by you.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one's fucking touching it or meddling with it or fucking with it. But if you go,
he's also signed with Luminary, which is that's a huge conglomerate of a podcast that they're trying to get. I don't know. They're trying to push Luminary on us so that we pay for subscriptions for podcasting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would love to sell our podcast with a subscription service.
Sure.
But we don't have that liberty. We don't have that audience.
Yeah.
Like you look at 30 minutes into a post from the Midnight Miracle, and it's got 1 million likes. It's like
some fucking bullshit.
Why?
Fuck you.
Yeah. Why flood our space? You know, I don't say fuck you. I love Dave Chappelle. And
not to Dave Chappelle, but I'm talking about the people who release some random shit, and then within a couple minutes, that it already blew up because of that popularity. But I would say another thing to that. It's like I really do believe that like the market is so huge that there's people for everything. So Dave Chappelle has an audience there.
I'm only arguing the fact that he can do a lot more than go down to our level and start a podcast. That's the only thing I'm arguing. I love Dave Chappelle. He can start a show on Comedy Central with no video aspect to it. It could be just an audio show. Prime time, 8 o'clock on a Thursday or Friday, whatever.
Yes.
And they would fucking eat it alive, and they would probably pay him $1 million per episode.
Facts. But what about the thought of you creating your entire new lane of an entire
They will
new
blow him
population
to
of
do
people?
that. They will let him do whatever he wants to do. They'll even probably let cussing on, and then pay the SEC or whatever. You know, they understand the power behind a guy like that. And to me, it's just annoying. Like I'm doing like 5 different podcasts, and I'm trying to push those things out and make it the best I can make it from what, like, given my little resources.
Yeah.
And given also the people around me, like, basically telling me that it's a waste of fucking time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally feel your point.
Yeah.
But like, stop thinking about Dave for a minute, right?
Yeah.
And like, how you found your own success, and like, I've learned to redefine what success means. Like, perhaps in my own life, like, I'm not gonna be Joe Rogan. Like, I'm still gonna be Jesus, and that means connecting with whoever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
As far as I can. And I mean, I think there's some level of success to that, which is like attaining my self-actualized self and literally just living my life as happily as possible.
Yeah.
And so I get it. Like, we're going up against corporate entities. These motherfuckers got juice, they got power, they got resources. But I do again believe in myself, and I believe in passion and all that shit. And
I believe in myself. That's why I express myself that way. You know, I don't think about the outcome of me saying, why the fuck does Dave Chappelle have a podcast? You know what I mean? I give a shit about Dave Chappelle. It's just that expression of how I feel, like true expression. And then, you know, being confident in myself and just accepting what the outcome is. I'm not my audience, you understand? Like, I don't think about, like, if I do this, this will happen. Like, I just express myself freely, you know?
Yeah.
So in a way, I'm kind of doing exactly what you're saying. I'm being myself, you know what I mean?
For sure.
So, like, I don't think about how things are interpreted, you know? If anything, talk in the comment section, dog. Like, I'm not going to be there. This is me talking about what I have to say, you know?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, like, comment sections and shit, like, I'm sure you guys get a lot of comments.
Yeah.
Do you guys like obsessively check these things?
No, I check them. I check them often just to see like how well we're doing.
Okay.
And the first time where we had something blow up, where people started like we got more negative comments than we usually did. That time I was kind of like I was in Gerardo's comments like responding to people. But after that day, after that one time, especially because like Gerardo doesn't give a fuck about. He'll stay out of. The only time he's in comments is if like
to push up engagement
and to like direct people to the podcast, which is more or less what I try to do now.
Okay.
I'm proud of you. I went through one of your videos the other day. I was like, Dom's not commenting at all.
Because there's the one where I don't know which like clip you found out about it from, but there's like one where I talk about like being supporting other brown people and being proud of like who you are as a brown person, and like that one was definitely more positive, but still that one like I tried to respond to every single comment, and 99% of them were positive, but like I said, I try to respond to everybody, like all of them, like say something in support of like what they're saying, and it just like it becomes so draining after a while, especially on something like TikTok where like something can go viral and then like quiet down and then go viral again, and then I'm like,
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's cool, but it is like I have a couple of clips now that I'm just like I'm tired of these. Like I'm tired. I love that people are responding to them and like stuff is resonating with them, but I'm also just like it feels like a weight on me. Like every time I see the notifications pop up, it's not a resentment to the comment. It's just like it does take energy. So now for the first like 1 or 2 days I'll like everything and I'll respond to some comments. I make sure to direct people to watch out for the comments that are like, where can I find this podcast? Where can I find your shows? I'll comment on those. But other than that, like I've gotten a lot better about. I still probably pay more attention than Gerardo does, but I've gotten a lot better about because
I read all the comments.
Yeah, he does read all the comments. But you don't engage with them.
I engage with ones that I choose to, and like, but it doesn't go any further than me on the phone looking at comments. I'm not like going up to homies and being like, yo, dude, this guy said that I look like fat John Belushi and shit. You know what I mean? It only goes as far as the comment section, and it's also like I keep track of all of them by liking every single one of them. I try not to like racist ones or like there's this one I do a Cholo joke and I'm talking about Cholo names, and a bunch of people just kept saying rapey. Cause like
or like they call me a little 9-year-old boy.
Exactly. Like so, I try not to like those, but I'll be just on autopilot liking things. Like, oh shit, that's the 9-year-old boy one. Don't like that. Like, you know, it's like don't engage with those people. Kind of thing. Anyways, but I'm interested in knowing what Ryan thinks because
I want to know what you think.
Ryan's a neurodivergent, so I don't know if like comment sections are a battle or what.
I definitely engage. One thing
Before
I found.
can you explain what neurodivergent means?
So, it's kind of. The way that people perceive mental illness and mental disorders has kind of evolved to kind of reassess how we address them. There's certain disorders that people are literally born with or that they develop at a younger age it's less about them being, for lack of a better term, broken and more about them just being different. And in fact, speaking specifically to autism, it's not 100% verified, but it is something that's being discussed in research. Did you just catch a fly?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had to. It was so distracting. I had to say it. Anyway,
catch, bro. I was impressed.
There's increasing evidence to support that possibly autism is something that's existed since like the dawn of civilization. Like, there's people.
There's a guy that made fire. He's just like, yeah. I'm just joking.
Like the thought process to do certain things that those people were doing at the time requires a specific kind of mentality that's like you have to be able to ignore certain things or you have to be able to like considering what the certain cave paintings, the environment that cave paintings were found in, and the detail provided in those paintings was like to such an extent that it's theorized. Gerardo, he's making faces. It's theorized that like
paintings that he used to draw.
like the kind of mentality for somebody to stay in that physical environment, completely focused on getting that out because they had to, is like similar to signs you see in someone with autism. It's not 100% verified. There's technically no way to 100% verify without those people still existing today, but it's theorized, and there's more evidence to support that. There's like evidence based on old journals and like journals of people who knew him that Leonardo da Vinci might have been autistic. There's evidence to support like all of these other older thinkers might have been neurodivergent because of, you know, beyond what's known about them. There'd be like little anecdotes you'd find from journals from people who knew them that was like, yeah, he does this weird thing and nobody knows why. And it's like, or that's like what I tell people when like, oh, all of a sudden everybody's on the autistic. It's like, no, a lot of these people have always been like this. We just didn't know what it was till recently. Like now we just have a name for what it is.
But neurodivergence is like essentially you process information differently.
Yeah, to go into that, so neurodivergent just means different from what's considered typical. Meaning, for the most part, like 80% of the population is this type of brainwave, and neurodivergence is just an alternative to that.
So hence the neurotypical versus neurodivergent.
Meaning it's like just different from what's average.
So yeah, like, again, like now
the medium.
Because of that, how do you navigate your platforms on social media?
It is a little different for me only because, so when I started blowing up, specifically a reaction I got that I very much enjoyed was for the first time in my experience, I was able to connect to a community that I've only ever been a part of as a purveyor, as someone who's like observing. Like I'm the guy watching the lives, and now I'm the guy in the lives that everyone else is watching, and that's something new to me, which doesn't mean a lot to me as far as like, oh, now I'm a big guy on TikTok. More that I'm able to connect to this community on a much more intimate level because now they're responding back to me in kind. Like, I'm not just someone who an autistic creator liked my comment once and then it got 200,000 likes. Like now I'm that creator talking back to people who are like appreciating the stuff I'm putting out. They're relating to the stuff I'm putting out, and it's like bringing a community closer together, you know, through me, and that was really fun. So I do interact with specifically any comment that has to do with communities that I'm a part of. And also just in general, like when people appreciate me, it's, you know, it's nice to appreciate them back, and it's also like Gerardo said, it boosts engagement in the profile if you're responding to people. Honestly, the only time I ever react to negative comments is if they like don't make sense to me. Like this one woman said she watched one of my videos, and I guess she thought I looked Asian. She's like, "Oh, look who's." Her exact words were, "Look who's eating all the Chinese cabbage now," and I'm like, "What does that even mean? I am Mexican American,
I hate cabbage.
and this joke is like about me being fat." Like, first of all, if you're trying to make a fat joke, you're making a fat joke in the comment section of my fat joke about myself. Like, I'm better at it. Stop it.
Go make your own platform.
But also, like, where did that come from? I don't know. That was so like usually if it's confusing to me, I'll just like address it like that was weird, and then just drop it. Or if like someone's trying to troll me, I like if they're trying to troll me just for the sake of trolling me, I do kind of have fun like just not giving them what they want. Like I'll respond with the most like chipper attitude I can give them, and it pisses them off because I'm not like upset. Literally one time someone was like, "Oh, are you gonna cry about it now?" I was like, "No. Have a good day." And then he's like, "Fuck." He blocked me because I said that, and it was the funniest thing. Yeah. Because I wasn't giving him what he wanted.
Yeah, there's one time or every time somebody says like this isn't funny, I'm always like, you're so right, I'm gonna delete this immediately. And then like with sad face, you know, like the guy that's about to cry gnarly. Like, yeah. But it's hilarious to me.
It's wild too.
Because it's like a silly ad. Going back again to what they were saying, I've only been on TikTok for about 2 years, but I was on a lot earlier than a lot of the people we know. Okay. So when they were debating getting it, they would ask me like, should I get a TikTok as a comedian? I'm like, I'd say yes. You know, for me, how I explained it to people was TikTok is a silly app. It's literally just like 15 seconds to 60 minutes of your day. So
60
minutes?
60 seconds.
Oh, okay.
A minute.
I was like, sheesh.
3
So
minutes now.
I did get the 3-minute bonus. Anyway, it's it's small videos. It's fun, but the way I look at it is, it's still like the fastest way to meet a massive amount of people. It's the fastest way to find your community. But I would say that your community is, you can view your community on TikTok, but that's not where your community is. Once you find the community, you should explore what they're doing outside of TikTok. Like, if you're into woodworking and you find a dude who does woodworking on TikTok, look up his shop. Like, look up his Instagram, look up his YouTube, find out who he is outside of TikTok. Don't just follow on TikTok. So it's like what Gerardo was saying, like, I'm using TikTok as like a business card, as a tool for people to have a brief view into what I do. And I do the same for people that I'm interested in, but I'm not like a TikToker. TikTok isn't my goal, it's a means to my goal, which is to get people to check out my stuff.
Yeah, it's just like a resume, a portfolio, where
Yeah,
it's just
it's
like,
a-
yo, my shit's right here.
Yeah, it's a digital business card. It's like it's a way, like, once people like it and they're like, oh, I wish you could see your shows. I'm like, check out my bio, dude. Check out my link tree. Check out my YouTube.
Yeah,
Check out our podcast.
It's all
And it's free.
about
Yeah.
diverting people away from. I mean, that's
that's-
the thing is,
yeah.
you're not supposed
You're not
to
supposed to do
pull
that.
people away from TikTok, but
TikTok
it's
is
like
not like that. I will say.
obviously
It's like a heist, dude. You gotta figure out how to get as many people on
Dude,
your
as
shit
soon as
possible.
whenever people find out you're on TikTok, everyone else is like, "Oh, here's what I do. Here's my plan. Like, let me give you some tips." And I'm like, I'm willing to listen.
Wait, what
to
do you
whoever.
mean? Like, foos on TikTok are hitting you up to be like, yo, you gotta do this
Like
to
when
get
we
to the
have-
next level?
When we have homies,
I have had a few like
What?
guys that were like, oh, this is what you should do if you want this thing to work, and I was like, okay, I told you to get on TikTok. Calm down.
it's just
Right.
like, well, it's because the thing is like the way that TikTok functions. Everybody, it's like an open. It's not even an open secret. It's something that people talk about. Even on the app,
Yeah.
we all know that there's an algorithm, but there's also like this secretive like how they like
Moderate.
how they moderate.
Like, will they decide to put on FYP?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Who and how they decide, like what stuff gets flagged automatically, what kind of language you should use, when's the best time to post, stuff that like. It's funny because TikTok is actually changing language, like because like people will talk about suicide, and if I'm trying to like say suicide prevention, people are starting instead of suicide, they're starting to say unalive, like. It's weird because it's like this weird censorship that everybody's doing. Even like when I caption my videos, like I notice like people will not spell racism, or they'll not spell sex, or they'll not spell certain like curse words in the
They
caption.
put sex with like
Sex.
SEGGS.
Yeah.
You know what's wild, dude? I don't know if you've seen the QAnon documentary. Have you guys seen this?
No,
No.
I've not. Is it worth it? Or is it gonna be a waste of 40 minutes?
It's not 40 minutes. It's 6 hours.
Oh shit!
Oh,
really?
shit.
Is
Can
it
you
a
summarize it for
series?
us?
It's hilarious. I mean, if
QAnon
you,
is fine.
it's
Oh, in an ironic way.
no, it's hilarious. I think
There's punchlines in there.
it's pretty funny. Like the creator of 8chan is like, you guys know who the creator of 8chan is?
I
know
don't.
what it is,
I don't.
but
I don't even know what that
He's
is.
like this big. He's like this big in a wheelchair.
Small
'cause
person.
He's got fragile bones. Like his bones cannot grow. They're like glass.
Yep, I
Oh,
heard
I
about
know
that
what you're
condition.
talking
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
His name is Fred Banner or Brennan. Fred Brennan. He's the creator of TikTok or of creator of 8chan.
I was like, shit.
No,
I thought it was
and
Chinese.
8chan is basically like 4chan, but you can. And 4chan is a free speech platform, but you can't start your own topic or threads. Reddit is
4chan has to start. Like the
yeah.
creators.
You have to ask the creator of 4chan
Oh.
at the time
That's
when 8chan was created. You have to ask the 4chan creator, "Can I make this thread on this topic?" And then there was Reddit, where you can create any thread you want, but it was heavily moderated at the time. So he took those two things and made 8chan. 8chan is basically a fucking field day of just free speech. You can say whatever you want, which is why they keep bringing up 8chan and all these mass murders, because they would post their manifestos on 8chan and then go kill like Christchurch in New Zealand or the El Paso shooting at Walmart. They would do these crazy mass shooting events, and then like the mass media would, or the mainstream media would go and say like 8chan is where this all started, you know, whatever, right? Anyways, it affected YouTube and algorithms on social media platforms because they all had to go in front of Congress to discuss like what are you doing to stop hate speech and whatnot, right? So if you're on YouTube, like there was a time where if you said sexual assault, your video would get pulled down, and sometimes your account would get deleted, basically. You know, so like with the QAnon thing, a bunch of Q-tubers is what they were called at the time, right? They all got their accounts deleted. So like when you're watching this documentary, and you see all the names of the YouTubers that they were interviewing in real time while they were succeeding, you look up their stuff on YouTube, and they're Alex Jones. Like they're just nowhere to be found on YouTube or any other video platform at least, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, but knowing all that, or seeing that documentary, was so interesting to me because you start to get a realization of like where this kind of all started. Like that's where a lot of other YouTube channels just got randomly flagged because YouTube had to go in front of Congress and say like, this is what we're doing. We're developing these algorithms in order to prevent people from speaking in this way. So if I were to even say like, I don't know any kind of crazy thing I would say, but even in context, right? Like if you just say that word, if I'm saying like, yeah, this happened this weekend where something happened to somebody, whatever, right? The word, like whatever the word is, your video would get automatically flagged and taken down. And so people were like, what the hell's happening here? Like, you can only speak within certain parameters.
It's wild because it tends to affect the people that, like, for some reason, it affects the people that are not the perpetrators, the people that are speaking out against whatever it is, whether it's like sexual assault or it's like racism and stuff. COVID. People that are trying to educate people on COVID, they were getting flagged. When I remember like seeing videos that were getting taken down because they didn't want any information that wasn't directly from the CDC.
Exactly. They'll give you a direct link to the CDC's guidelines and whatnot.
That's everywhere right now.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's what I'm talking about. Those
or,
algorithms.
Yeah.
They were developed during coronavirus. This whole sexual assault thing where people are saying SA instead of sexual assault.
Yeah.
You know? Like this guy got SA'd and this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know? It's crazy.
I think it's a really interesting question.
Where's the question?
Right there, bro. Just go straight, make it right.
I'm peeing, okay? I know I should have the shit.
I thought SA was when they get jumped into a game.
What's up? So I think about it and I'm like, on one side, I really don't want that sort of extremism in society being permeating our society. Just because I think there's some unhealthiness to that. But then at the same time, like, I'm not too fond of because like I'm the type of person that like the more freedom you give me, the happier I am. I just am. Like if you let me be loose and be myself in every way possible, I feel like I'm thriving. So I'm like, if I remove that from other human beings, like I don't necessarily I'm not fond of that. So I really do I have trouble grappling with that question of like censorship. Like, should we allow these huge, super powerful companies the power? And I'm not even sure we should allow them. It's their platform, I guess. You know, they get to do whatever they want on it. But I don't know. Is it a question of like ethics, or should they?
I feel like it's just about contextual like understanding. Like the thing is it's not necessarily that they're going overboard with censoring. It's that it's just easier for them to make a robot that'll just check the word, which forces everyone to adapt. And it's like you could just make it somebody's job to make sure no one's being racist on TikTok. Like
it's complicated because a lot of times what happens is I don't want to say I don't know. Censorship is like a weird thing because people are like, you should have freedom of speech, but obviously I don't think you should be able to spread lies and misinformation or hateful language, violent language. Like, definitely those people need to be held accountable.
But how? Like,
that's what I'm saying. It's a really complicated issue. I don't know how to police it. I mean, honestly, the way that I feel is like it should be left up to the people. But then you have stuff like mass block campaigns or mass report campaigns. That's like usually it's funny because it's usually that's why cancel culture is such a funny concept because like people talk about like trying to cancel somebody.
Kanye West.
Dude,
they tried to cancel that man like 20 times.
Yeah, But it's so funny because it's like the alt-right, like people on 4chan and 8chan and QAnon, like they do all of this like behind the curtain canceling where they'll do like mass reporting, mass flagging people for hate speech, and they just like clog up the system so much that like it gets people taken down, like profiles get deleted and videos get taken down and stuff like that. So I mean, it's
the way they police it now is not by taking your shit down. They just don't show it to anybody.
You become a ghost.
You're shadow banned.
They just let you keep it up, and now you can't really complain. Like if they delete your account or something, you have a means of like, okay, they're fucking me in the butthole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it's also all a robot. Like especially on TikTok, I would say the difference between TikTok and Instagram is almost entirely anything that is what is it, moderating is just like a robot, like an algorithm. I call it the TikTok robot, but it's like it's literally just a coding that's just meant to look for certain things. Like part of the reason that some of our videos get flagged is because for the sake of aesthetic, we don't use the captioning feature because it's literally just small subtitles at the bottom of the screen. We write the captions ourselves in the visual text. You can like add text to the screen, and because of that, the robot isn't. If it's just captioning, if it's just saying what you're saying, then the robot doesn't care. But if you're adding words, then it has to make sure that you're using the right context. Like going back to my joke about schizophrenia, because I said schizophrenia so many times in a single sentence, the robot had to make sure that I wasn't making fun of schizophrenic people. So the first time that I tried to post it, it would not let me post it for like almost a whole day, like 4 hours. So then I re-edited the video and literally just put a giant, it was a joke, but nobody got that I was doing this on purpose. It was literally a giant censor sticker just over the word schizophrenia every time it popped up, and it did let me post the video after that. But it confused everyone because they didn't know why I was censoring schizophrenia. So I had to make like response videos and comment to people, and like I realized that I was like over the top. I was meant to be funny, but I'm not the one that's making, like, I don't care about the word schizophrenia in the sense that I think it's a bad word. Like, I don't care if people use it. No one should care if it's just like a medical term. But TikTok does, so I had to like, so that you guys can see the joke, I had to censor myself.
There's so many dumb things about it, because also, if we're going to do this, like, okay, in the long run, Ryan got to post the joke and it got 1 million views, so many hundreds of thousands of likes, you know?
Right.
That's awesome, right? There was an issue, they resolved it. Dude, I tried posting this thing about Bounty, like the fucking not toilet paper, sorry for cussing, but the paper towels.
Or they were talking about fucking Bounty, like I'm trying to like take your life.
No, the paper towels.
Oh, okay.
Right? And every time I would post it would get muted. Every time I would post it.
Because of its connection to an actual Bounty?
They had at the time they were running a sponsorship with Addison Rae, one of the biggest TikTokers, of Bounty, where she's dancing and there's Bounty in the back. She's like, I'm gonna make a mess and clean it with Bounty, you know?
Wow.
And I happen to have been talked about while you're laughing. Oh no, I happened to talk about that on one of my podcasts, and I thought this is the best part of the podcast, and I made this segment and posted it to TikTok. And immediately, right every time I posted, I tried 3 times. It got flagged and muted. So they left it up, but they took the audio out altogether.
Yeah. So one thing you were kind of alluding to was work around that system in order to still use the tool to get your message out.
Yeah.
It's like it's something that we shouldn't have to do, but it's like if it means that I can get my stuff out, I don't mind doing it.
It's the beginning of the slippery slope, dude. It's like there's free speech for a reason.
Yes, which is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But he said it's kind of too hard to find an answer. But what's your thought process about the fact that they have a lot of power and they basically can censor whatever the fuck they want?
I mean, like if I were to say the quick answer is that people have gotten too soft, you know, like that. And that's not the right way of saying it because people are so soft. But I'm just kidding. Sorry. No, but
have you seen how Dave Chappelle says it?
What?
I can't say it because he uses the
Edward.
Yeah.
What? Because I've seen everything.
Well, he basically said like he's like, country's turning into a bunch of bitch ass.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, but it could be done purposefully, you know? I mean, dude, every day before the pandemic, we were shown some crazy shooting instead of some shit that we're trying to fix, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in a way, that the documentary kind of explores that notion where, the QAnon documentary, where 8chan is a free speech platform. People are allowed to say the craziest hateful shit. Maybe they are Nazis, you know what I mean? They're allowed to go here and say the craziest shit possible, imaginable. Insane, right? And on the news, you're allowed to speak about the same stuff, but kind of like in a glorified way. Like, this is the most death in one location ever imagined. Like, this has never happened before. Oh my God, remember Virginia Tech? Like, it's even worse now. Virginia, like, they're like shoving it in your face at all times. Right. When us as citizens can't do that freely online, you know? It's in a way where they're kind of like guiding the train a certain way, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, be terrified, you know, or we'll scare you even more. I'm not saying they're conducting these mass murders and stuff. I'm not saying that the government's behind any of that stuff, but they are, in a way, forcing it down our throats. Instead of showing us some kind of different, like something different. We're working on this in Congress. We're working on this. Oh no, here's a police chase. Like, here's some other food that's trying to get away from the cops. Remember how you guys always want to get away from the cops, you know?
Yeah. They're
trying to tell you what you're doing. Like,
well, I think there's something to say about like the media utilizing its power to instill fear into people. I mean, that's one of the clearest ways in history to control and manipulate us.
Yeah, and we're not allowed to do it ourselves. I'm not allowed to go onto a 8chan forum and say
on TikTok.
The craziest shit of all time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. There's a reason why we have free speech. You know?
Yeah.
If I speak freely, you're able to then judge me for my character, like as it is exactly. You know?
Yeah.
Instead of finding ways around these loopholes and stuff. I'm not gonna say that. I mean, I stopped myself from saying words because I was raised a certain way. You know?
But you do that out of like kindness and respect, I imagine.
Yeah, and that's
why I do it. Like, I self-police.
In the long run, it's my decision.
Yeah.
That's what free speech is about.
Right.
I can decide what I say. Instead of making these like kind of invisible laws where it's like, if you say that, then you know you're gonna get in trouble. Like, I don't know how to say it.
No, it's muddy. It's muddy.
Yeah. So I don't believe in policing free speech, but it is what it is. I understand the need to do it. I'm not the guy to make the decision, obviously. So I have this, you know, I have this ability to just think what I think, you know.
Yeah, I will say kind of separate from that, but in addition, because you mentioned the way like Dave Chappelle phrases it. It's also like, because we've also once in a while had conversations about like anti-PC comics and like, you know, what the difference is between being against censorship and being just against not being able to use racial slurs.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, there is an extreme on both sides. You know, anytime a new concept is introduced or someone tries to change something that's been a problem, there's always extremes on both sides about it. But, you know, when it comes down to like why people are upset in general, these things have, when it comes to PC, these things have always been an issue for us. We're just like now comfortable enough to be vocal about it because we don't risk, you know, dying over it every time.
But also, part of it is you realize the adverse effects that a lot of the culture has created. Like, this whole thing about people being soft or too sensitive, it's like, there's nothing soft about standing up for you or for yourself or standing up for other people.
Yeah.
Like, what's soft about that? And also, this, like, to touch back on, like, the anti-PC thing and the censorship, like, look, I don't think a comedian or anybody should be able to say whatever the fuck they want on stage. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think that they should be able to. I'm not going to stop anyone from saying anything. I know in my own, like, what I have control over, I'm not going to book somebody that says the N-word on stage if they're not black. I'm not going to book sexist people or try to work with them. You know, but, like, it's weird to me that people are saying, like, you should be able to say whatever you want on stage and like be as edgy as you want, and then turn around and say, like, somebody like me who does like SJW comedy, like I shouldn't be able to do comedy. And it's like, it's that again, like I'm saying, like I'm trying to show that I'm trying to do my thing in the same quality and the same with the same attitude, just like on the other end of the spectrum. I'm not trying to police what anybody says, but I'm also going to voice my opinion. And
But you're allowed to.
That's what I'm saying.
We have the court of public opinion. Like
Right.
you said, if Johnny Stewart goes on stage and says the N-word, you're not going to book Johnny Stewart on
Right.
the show. That's you policing the situation on your own. If I have power, I'm not going to give it to somebody else.
But
that says the N-word.
what I'm saying to that point is like we fight more for the ability to say whatever you want. We fight more for the ability for people to be offensive than we do for people to like not be offensive.
I don't know if that's true.
I mean,
Only because people that are offensive, they do have a stronger following. Meaning, not a bigger following. I'm saying a stronger kind of like he can say what he wants. You know, like Louis C.K. whipping his dick out. His fans kind of got what is it called? Like even more. I don't know.
Ardent, zealous.
If they love Louis C.K., they love him even more.
They'll come down to him regardless.
Like he's being real when he says that shit on stage. You know what I mean? Like that whole sentiment, right?
Yeah.
I mean that is a reality. It's just like not accepting what reality is. That is reality. You understand? Those people have the right to think what they want to think. I don't like it, like, and I'm allowed to feel that way. You know, but I don't think the counter to censorship is, oh yeah, we should promote these people that are free speech, offensive people. Like I don't think that's the counter. I believe that we can judge people for who they are, their character, right? And in a court of public opinion, if the general consensus thinks like, okay, Louis C.K. can come back, you know, it doesn't mean that I personally believe that Louis C.K. can come back.
right.
Unless you're a sheep and you just believe what other people think, you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it is more of just like a moral dilemma within each individual person.
Yeah.
I don't think it gets real scary when the government comes in and starts to say like, this is what you have to do. And it's also scary that each of these platforms online are basically their own governments.
Yep.
They have their board of directors that can decide we're not going to say sexual assault now, you know? We're not going to allow these things to be said online. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy because you don't really see where the territory of America is. It's like these are American companies, but they are acting in a socialist way,
Right.
which has been one of America's nightmares since
Forever.
Yeah.
Since its inception. And I mean, I brought it up only because I do think about it often. And
It's interesting.
And I think it's a conversation that.
I mean, me and Dom get into it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Latin, don't even get us started on Latinx, dude.
But other folks need to see that. You know what I'm saying? Hear it, listen to it, engage with it, and just like I think this was a very healthy way to explore that instead of just being like, no, you're fucking dick, you're fucking stupid, shut
Yeah.
the fuck up, get the fuck out of here, you suck.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. The only thing I really care about is basically me going on stage and being funny.
Yeah.
So like when I talk like this, like I said, it's free expression. It's like I'm expressing how I feel about a certain thing.
Facts.
You know,
Facts.
swallowing it and puking it back out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Isn't how long do we have to wait? He did this a long time ago. It was like the fact is that he did it, and that's the issue. Like he did it, he didn't
But
have
also-
to do it. He chose to do it, and he shouldn't be rewarded for that.
Not to bring up old conversations or like old
Uh-oh.
shit, but it was like, well, the whole thing with the Louis C.K. stuff was like, was like what people also forget and they don't care, or they don't seem to care, is that those incidents destroyed careers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like the concept. It's like, well, all he did was masturbate in front of a woman.
Five
like,
women
why
lost.
are we king shaming? It was like, no,
Thank you.
he lured women to his hotel room and then used
His
the
power.
his power in that dynamic and wielded it over them. And like 90% of them quit comedy because of what happened, or they didn't do what he wanted and something bad came from it. Like, he didn't outright threaten him in the sense that he said, if you don't do this, I'm gonna make it hell for you. But he set up the situation where it's like, if you do this, I'll help you. Which implies that conversely, if you don't, I'll make sure that you can't tell anyone that I made you do this. Like, that's always the implication because that's the dynamic that he set up. It's like he didn't just masturbate in front of a woman as a weird kink. Like, he forced a woman to stay in her. He seems like a passive guy, but he's like, wasn't he like 6'1" or something? He's a big guy, and you know the women that he was confronting were smaller than him, and it's like he didn't just masturbate in front of him. He used his size to barricade them in that room, forcing them to stay there.
Again, I mean, I mean, not to downplay all of that stuff.
Like he didn't
It's all
physically
terrible.
touch them, but he's
It's
a
all-
huge intimidating figure.
It's all terrible, horrible stuff, but like, kind of what we're saying, the court of public opinion, and like or people saying how long do we have to wait or it's a long time. It's like, what I was saying when I said like, oh, we fight more to promote or to be able to do these things is like when Louis started coming back to do shows, and I kind of agreed, but also I understand people that would get upset by this is that one of the club owners was like, I think he should be able to come back and do shows if it's not a surprise, because he was doing drop-ins.
And
So it's like it should be on the wall, on the marquee. It should be something that people know what they're buying, that they're specifically going for Louis. And the reason why I brought that up is going back to like, we need to remember that because of those incidents, 5 women comedians that had their careers essentially destroyed. They either left comedy because of it was a traumatic experience, or they missed out on opportunities and they were blocked. Like it was actively working against them. And I think like, okay, if you're gonna fight as much for this, like we need to fight like to help people that are not doing these things, or help people that are on the other side that are either affected or that are like actively against that. I also think that just because somebody is an SJW, like we don't have to. I think SJW stuff, social justice warriors, get a bad rap for being unfunny, and I think like we shouldn't sacrifice talent for diversity, because there's a ton of talented people that are marginalized that we should be promoting.
Exactly. Like before Eddie Murphy, who was the funny black guy? Nobody had a platform. Eddie Murphy was given a platform and he took advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
With SJWs, there are hilarious SJWs out there, like Jonathan Rowell, Ryan. I believe you guys are hilarious. But obviously we're in the salad days of our careers.
Right.
And we're trying to find our platform.
Right.
You know? But before Eddie Murphy, who else was there? Other than like the whole Dave Chappelle thing where he says it's always only been one black guy.
Right.
They've only allowed one black guy, like
right.
the gatekeepers and whatnot, you know?
Right.
I think it's the same kind of thing happening for SJWs. However, I don't think they have the same plight. But, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say... Well, the thing is like, the term SJWs obviously covers, like, it's an ideology, so it's like, I'm not going to compare an ideology to
a race
or black people's struggle. But you also have to remember that within SJWs, there's black people, there's queer people, there's Latinos, there's people that are within the community that are super talented, super funny, super creative, that deserve more of a platform that are being actively blocked. So
exactly.
Just so, like, I kind of thought it was like going back to what we were saying about terms like woke. I think terms in general always create the sense of like, one of the contributing things to that polarizing effect of like extremes on either side is like defining new terms, having to have a specific, like people have asked me before if I'm a feminist, and they say no, and it's because I don't like the idea of being like, I'm just not a shitty person. I'm not going out of my way to be pro-women. I'm just not hating on women because that's stupid. You know, it's like, so there's like, no, I don't consider myself a feminist. Do I consider myself pro-equality, pro-women? Like, yeah, because it's like, why wouldn't I? There's no reason not to, other than you just want the spotlight for yourself. Like, I've never known a person who was against feminism in the sense of like they, you know, didn't. It's always like an incel. It's always like a guy who just like hates women because of how he personally views women, and it's never like as an equal. It's always like as a means to an end. Like, you know, they're always just a thing that they can't acquire, and because of that they don't like when they succeed in something they want. You know, and it's like, no, they're individuals. Like going back to what I think what you were saying was like, yeah, it would be great if we were all seen as individuals, but we're not, which is why we're, you know, making a big deal about these things that affect us as groups. It's because like we're not the ones that are generalizing ourselves. You are, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why it's important to us to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much that makes sense. I did kind of go in and out.
No, I mean, I tend to agree with kind of a little bit. I hate that I've like become like this fucking dude that sees every side. I used to hate that person when I was 19. I was like, oh, you have no fucking backbone. You know, you don't stand for shit. But I'm like, I'm just life. Like, experiences are like in your fucking face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be so against capitalism. And I read Marx, I read Fred Hampton, I read everyone, right? And I was so zealous about it.
Yeah.
And then, like, I made a friend who was a capitalist. And he was like so nice and so sweet. And I know that you can't compare like a system to like an individual.
Mm-hmm.
But just like that interaction between us, I was like, oh, he's not a fucking blood sucker like Malcolm X told me. And so, going back to that equation, this is kind of like, I hate that. That's where I'm stuck now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck where I'm like, I'm always seeking balance.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to be seen as like that centrist that has no values. Like, my value is expressing like human decency and like I want to have empathy for you. So if you tell me that it's so difficult and so hard for you to like be called a tranny, if that really like, if it's like painful to you, I'm not gonna call you a tranny. Like, I'm trying to express my like empathy.
You can call me a train. I know my titties are huge.
When the camera turns on.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at, bro. And another thought that I've kind of arrived to recently is like, I look at ideologies and I'm like, yo, man, like, I've been possessed, bro. Like, in the past, like,
oh yeah,
where like I'm like, I don't even care about what you have to say because I strongly believe in this.
Yeah, there was a time in my life where I told a girl that I would listen to nothing but Led Zeppelin, and I still cringe about it. I was like,
wait,
so,
were you being honest?
Oh yeah, no, I believed it at the time. I was like,
How
and,
old were you?
and it wasn't prompted either. I was 19, 19 years old.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, out of nowhere, she was probably talking about something about her day or something. I was like, 1 second, I'm not gonna listen to anything in my life except for Led Zeppelin. What were you saying?
That's pretty funny, dude. That's pretty fucking funny. What do you guys think it is? Do you think that that's what it is? Like, you grow up and perspective.
I mean, I think it's a combination of like influence, like your environmental influence, and also just like kind of what I was saying before was like the reason that we kind of use these group terms is because we were separated in the first. Like, we wouldn't be making a big deal for the equalization of Latino people if that wasn't a problem already. Like, if the problem doesn't exist, then neither does the complaint. You know what I mean? Nobody's pulling this out of their ass. Nobody's just lying for attention. You know,
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
billions of people aren't just in on the joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
It's literally statistically impossible. And it's like we're all saying the same story because we're having the same experience. Like, we're confining ourselves to this group because we're sticking with the people that have had the same experiences because they are the same, you know. And it's like, when that is no longer a problem, then we will just look at each other as individuals, and that's the point. I don't know how to end that because I'm not going in circles, but you know what I mean.
I think you grow up, obviously, when you're young, you're still learning about the world, and like you're developing an opinion. And then once you kind of land on something, you feel so strongly. So, you know, people tend to be super conservative or super liberal, right? And then as I've gotten older, you know, I'm 29 too. What I'm trying to do, like, the thing that you realize is that everybody's just trying their best. Like, everybody is just trying. Everybody is just like, none of us know what the fuck is really going on, you know. We're just trying to exist. So I kind of I was talking about this in when I was on live a couple of days ago, was like, I try to fight systems with passion but treat individuals with empathy, compassion. Yeah. So it's like, obviously, you know, I don't believe in centrism in like my personal, when we're talking about big systems. For for instance, like capitalism. Capitalism is fake. Like, for me, it's like I don't care how nice a person is. Like, capitalism is fake. Capital does not exist. It's something that was made up to impose power, and communism is a reaction to capitalism. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to go and get in a fist fight with people on an individual basis, but I will help and support people that I know that are actively fighting against it. And if there's anything that I can do within my power to further the cause, then I will do that. But I also try to. The other thing is too is when you're trying to like share your own views. You know, nobody wants to get told that they're existing incorrectly. Mm-hmm. So if you try to come at them with some understanding, more often than not, like, you can turn someone's head around.
And this is what I was talking about yesterday, right? Yesterday we were talking. We were trying to record the episode yesterday. And when you said, like, everyone needs to be good, right? Remember that?
Oh, well, yeah. Paraphrase, but yes, go ahead.
I obviously, it was a longer conversation than just like 5 words, but
People must be good.
yeah, but in my opinion, that's what people are doing in their own minds.
Right.
They're trying to be good.
Right.
And in some people's minds, it's like, if I succeed at everyone else's basically like demise, then I'm doing good because I'm a good person because I'm doing good for myself. You know? And I find that to be, we were talking about machismo, like, you know, be a good person is basically the roundabout.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, a man doesn't have to be anything except a good person.
Yeah.
And then Gerardo said, that's not a good phrasing because
That's
a good person
if they're
is,
beating their wives, they think they're doing something good. They think they're being, maybe they're acting out of instinct, and maybe they realize later they come out of their punch drunk love and fucking realize, like, oh shit, I did something wrong.
What you were saying is like it's very subjective. Like, be good.
Yeah.
What is good?
Yeah.
The good and bad themselves are concepts and constructs that we've created as people. A silly kind of correlation or analogy. It's like when you buy a dog. When people buy a dog and they don't know how to train the dog, it's like, they get mad at the dog for not doing what they want. It's like that dog didn't speak English. So dogs have a way of communicating, and there is a way to teach it a language, but it's not going to be, just yelling at him in the words Like, you have, that's like the thing. That's how I explain it to people that get dogs. It's like you're developing a language that only the two of you know, so that he'll always respond to certain tones and like sound patterns because he's learned that that's what that means. Like, I dog sit for my brother. And when I'm walking him, I have a room separate from my mom's room, and they're on separate sides of the house, so they have separate entranceways. So it's like, if I come in through the backyard and he's running to her room, and I literally just yell, wrong room, he'll switch directions because he knows what I mean. It's like, I forgot where I was going with that. I went on a longer rant than I meant. Yeah, it's communication. It's like, nobody knows that there is no wrong or right. It's just what you desire for you in that moment, I guess.
But good and bad morals are a construct, but empathy is a very real thing.
Yeah.
There's
sorry. Because there was
a study.
Okay.
You want to talk still?
No, because there was a point I wasn't meaning to make and I forgot about it, but I'll go back to it.
There's a study that they tested a certain type of monkey or chimpanzee, and they put two like monkeys in separate rooms where they could see each other, and there was one where like these monkeys had easy access to like food, and then the other one didn't, and so once they saw that the other monkey was starving, it started sharing food, and it didn't matter if they knew the other monkey or if they were like total strangers. Like, they would always share and always try to help the other one. So like, and this has been like shown in many species, non-human species. So it's like, yeah, good and bad morals and all that stuff is subjective, but like empathy is real.
But so is anger then, right? Like, so are you trying to say that empathy is an instinct?
I mean, I'm saying like it's not a construct, like it's not something that we made up. Like it's
biological.
Caring about others is a natural thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say to that. Sorry, but I would say to that, and more about what I was trying to get at earlier was like, Good and bad don't exist, but they take the same amount of energy. So it's like you literally don't have to do either. So I guess instead of thinking of is this good or bad, it's more of like how does this affect somebody else and whether or not that is necessary. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's just like it's not whether or not it's bad. It's like whether or not it needs to happen, not only for them but for you. Like, do you need to do that for yourself? And if not, it's like why do that then? And then going back to like empathy is instinctual. It was a literature course, but the teacher was very into sociology. I almost said socialism. It's not the one. She was very into sociology, so it's like it's a literary course, but we expanded on this topic a lot. And one of it was like, I saw this video. I forgot what it was called. And she made us watch a video that was like the evolution of how empathy affected society, and it's like it started with, this is your immediate groups. You relate to them. You care about them, and you immediately empathize with them as your species. And kind of like as society developed, what ended up happening is like because you see someone across the way, like you live on one mountain, you see someone on another mountain, because they're an unknown quantity, you don't have that immediate empathy. You have to like go through a similar experience and get to know them somehow. Like with the monk, like even if they were complete strangers, they went through a shared experience, and that's where that developed. So without that, your immediate instinct is like they're a potential danger to the people you do empathize with, and that's kind of where the separation started. It's like, tribes of creatures existing apart from each other, so then when they run into each other, they don't know that they're immediately the same thing, so there's always the risk for opposition, and the more that opposition grew, the more like it grew with society. Like it got bigger than two people fighting, it became countries fighting, it became continents fighting, it led to world wars, all because it wasn't their immediate. It's within everyone to have empathy. Well, some people literally physically don't, but it's within most of us to have empathy, and it's like whether or not we want to act on that.
So what you're saying is that we need to destroy all nation states and
No.
Just kidding, you did not say that.
Yeah.
But I mean, so
what you're telling me is cavemen had autism.
Earlier, as stated.
I just can't stop thinking about this. Sorry.
No. I'm just right now. I'm currently still thinking about what you were saying.
Yeah.
About like how do we? Because first of all, we still haven't really decided what is good and what is bad. We've only decided that we clearly do have empathy. But if you don't know somebody, you won't have empathy towards them. But
so
at the same time,
I'm saying it's a choice whether or not you want to look at that as potential harm or potential like an opportunity to gain, a new person to your like tribe. I guess.
Personally, I try to maneuver society in that sense where I don't want to inhabit tribalistic characteristics. Like, oh, you are part of my tribe, and so on and so forth, whether it be through my ethnicity, although because I was born and raised in a heavily Mexican American community and full of other immigrants that are probably from Central America, whether it's Nicaragua, El Salvador, or whatever. Like, I do automatically see brown people, and I'm like, oh, those are my people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I once read an expression that said, be a rootless cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
And that shit really resonated with my soul. And knowing that before a part of my ancestry that came from Europe and another ancestry that was already here for about 10,000 years, what happened before that? Like, my little gene pool was still existing 100,000 years ago, somewhere around the world. So in reality, I am much more than like Huntington Park, Los Angeles, California, American, Native and European and all these different things. And so,
well, we live in a simulation. We already established that.
Fuck everything.
But to kind of like connect that analogy that I was using to what I was saying earlier is like, we're not born trying to be part of that tribe, but to use that same analogy, like currently we are sticking with our tribe closer because the other tribes are looking at us as a threat and treating us as such. So it's a sense of safety. Like, the reason that we're choosing to separate ourselves is because we were put in the position where trying to branch out led to us getting, killed.
Yeah, abused.
Yeah, like hurt.
Yeah. That makes me think about J. Cole's song where he made that point that he moved into the white neighborhood. He tried to integrate into a white society, and then they sent the police to him because
the neighbors think I'm selling dope.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
black.
exactly.
He must be selling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck. I don't. Man, fuck all that.
Or like, to use a weird metaphor, there's an episode of I'm sorry, I know
Full of weird metaphors.
I'm very good at metaphors. You
No,
guys
you're not.
all know the show That's So Raven, right?
Yes.
Do you know like the episode about her trying to get a job?
Is that the one that goes, "That's so Raven"?
Yes.
Okay.
Not
The one with the
racism episode.
You know that.
I
But you know
didn't
the,
really watch
you know
the
the
show.
episode? It's like a. It's
The racism episode.
There's a racism episode. There's a racism episode where it's like she tries to get a job. She doesn't get it even though she's more qualified than her friend who got the job, and then she has a vision that the person didn't hire her because she was black, which was like a very not to say on the note. There's nothing bad about this episode. I like the but a lot of people had issue with it because it was like I just want to enjoy that. So Raven, it's like that's what it's like for us in real life. Where we're just trying to be a part of the show, and then some asshole comes in and makes us confront this thing about us that is like not supposed to be real.
I mean, we're not confronting it about us. It's like it's not confronting about us. They're confronting us with racism.
Yeah, it's like Raven had like in the episode, like she doesn't want to be, not to, I don't know how to phrase it. She doesn't want to be a black person in the sense that like it shouldn't matter, but it does.
She's
because
just trying
it's
to get a
affecting
job.
her. Yeah, she just wanted to work at this place that she enjoys working at, but she, is now confronted with this thing that she can't ignore, which is that now that she's an adult and that she's trying to be an adult, now that she's trying to enter and integrate into society, there are people here who are finding arbitrary reasons to push her out of it.
Right.
And so it's like she can't ignore it, so she can't let us ignore it either. And it's like for everyone who had an issue with that episode, that's literally what it feels like for us outside of, in reality, in society, is like we just want to be a part of this program, but you're not letting us.
Yep.
We also just want to enjoy the show.
Yeah. I'm Mexican, and I'm a guy that enjoys Chipotle. Right?
I feel like there's more comments,
This is
and
not
that
a
was like
joke.
the most random.
No, I love Chipotle.
He very
He
much
loves
loves
it with his heart and soul.
Hey, well, trip out. I used to be a fucking Chipotle hater. Just because I was like, yo, that's just not like the fucking tacos in the corner. Straight hating, bro. And
Continue.
then I tried it, and I was hooked.
Bro,
And I was like, this just not bad.
I have it every day.
Literally.
The reason why I bring this up is because you have a 6-minute walk to a Chipotle from here.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to.
He knows where they're all.
He's just like, do you guys want to get lunch after the show?
That's what I figured out before coming there. Is there a Chipotle around your house? Yes? Okay, let's do it.
6 minutes away. Not even driving. Mine is a 30-minute walk.
Is it that much?
Yeah, I mean, I like to stroll. You know what I mean?
I like to kick it.
But anyways, to go back to the point of what I'm saying here, is that, do you mind? Do you fucking mind, dude? As a Mexican that likes Chipotle, that's okay. You know what I mean? Just like Raven, it's okay, don't do that. Just like Raven trying to get a job, she just wants to work. I just want to eat. You know what I mean? Don't make, what? Don't make it about race. Because I'm Mexican, I have to go to fucking Alberto's. You know what I mean? I enjoy Chipotle. Right, Ryan?
Yeah,
That's what you were
I'm
saying.
sorry. It's because at the beginning, the whole first half of this sounded like you just didn't want people shitting on you for going to Chipotle.
He doesn't.
I face it every day.
Are you sure that's not your American side speaking?
I'm positive.
That's funny
I'm
too.
positive. I mean, if I could speak Spanish to the people working there, I would, but I don't know Spanish.
I mean, it's the whole thing about. Well, one, I don't want to make the Chipotle argument bigger than, not against you, but the people that hate on Chipotle, like, I know it's not authentic. What? I know it's not authentic. You think I go to Taco Bell because I'm trying to get a taste of home? Like,
Yeah.
I just want food. I don't want to eat.
Yeah,
We think
it's
Wiener
$1.
Schnitzel is German.
They have
It's
a
dude from
$5
Chicago.
box. Like, I know it tastes good. Sue me, don't sue me, but
Yeah.
I can't afford it. But like,
Chipotle is great. People say like it's owned by a white guy. I don't shake the white guy's hand every time I go. I'm just
Right.
trying to get some food,
It's
right?
fast food.
I get
It's
it.
like,
yeah.
do you want to have that? Okay.
Yeah.
It's like Wiener Schnitzel isn't actually German. It's some dude created it out of Chicago.
But
Like,
guess what? They have
also-
Chipotle in Mexico.
also, Wiener and Schnitzel are the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the funniest thing you said so far. Cavemen have autism, and wiener and schnitzel mean wiener.
They're like kinds of sausage, but it's like,
Brats.
you know what I mean? It's all fast food. Like nobody.
Yeah, that's funny, bro. You keep bringing that shit
It's
up.
like I keep bringing this up on
I
our
keep missing.
podcast, but I got a ton of shit because I wrote a joke about Lucas, the salt.
Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Just because it's correlating to what you were saying, it's like
You correlate it to a lot of things.
it keeps coming up. It's the perfect metaphor for everything. No, because they were like, people are calling me no sabo for not liking Lucas. Like, first of all, I like Lucas. I ate Lucas a ton as a kid.
Yeah.
But when you describe that, physically describe the ingredients, it sounds like some dude just made it up because he like didn't get groceries. Like, it's salt, chili flakes, and lime. That's it. And it's in a salt shaker. That's just a literal description of the candy.
That's one of the basis of comedy, is to point out how silly something is.
Yeah, and it's like, but people were like, "Oh, this kid has the audacity to mock his culture." It's like, no, I'm not mocking my culture. Like, it's not authentic Mexican food. It's a candy.
Yeah.
It's a dumb candy.
Yeah.
And it's a candy. That's like an American candy. Like, fuck you, dude. I love Skittles. Like,
Yeah.
that's what that
Wait,
sounds
doesn't
like.
that go back again to like comments and like, not all comments are equal.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, I would just say like just fuck the bullshit. Like, if this shit doesn't make no sense, like straight up like fuck them.
Dude, I've done that joke for like whole Latino crowds, and like, there's always one guy's like, "Fuck this dude," and I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Damn, fool, it ain't that
It's
serious.
candy. Yeah.
People are sensitive about it's like it's wild. The people that think, and it's so funny because like the people that are the most like want to be the most offensive, when you tickle them a little bit, they fucking like flip out on you for just the idea of making fun of them.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's life, let's be honest. Before the Lucas joke and after the Lucas joke. It's like BL and AL.
Yeah.
Guys, I really want to ask you guys a ridiculous question, but I've grown accustomed to do it, so I'm gonna do it regardless. For you personally, what is the meaning of life?
I have this funny metaphor in my head that like
Say it.
Give me another one. Give me another one.
that like God is just like an Apple developer and we're just a weird product he made and people keep complaining about it. Like there's all these like what if he was just a scientist? Like you take everything in the Bible and just put it under the guise of like what if he was just designing a product? And like these are just like you know what I mean? Like that's why he has a problem with all of these things. It's like that's not how I designed it. You're not supposed to put that in that hole. You know, kind of a thing. It's like we figured it out.
Damn, right when you brought up the meaning of life, the birds at summer, like, wait, we got it.
Imagine birds
They're
are trying to tell us the
That's
whole
their
time.
meaning, bro.
It's to
Me? You
fuck.
want me? I mean,
Well, I have the real meaning to life, so go ahead.
You guys get yours out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. The meaning. I'm not gonna come out and say there's no meaning, but like, okay, so one time I was on mushrooms. During the quarantine, I had like a real existential breakdown. Like I broke down like crying, and I was I got into those questions, like what happens when we die? What are we doing here? Like what the fuck is going on? Like even the sun's gonna explode at some point, and then what does that mean for the planet and all this stuff? And I started going to therapy. I started getting into spiritualism. And then I did a mushroom retreat, and I was like meditating. I was like pretty much the whole time just wrestling with this idea of like, because at one point I was like enlightened. I was like, oh, we're just here to live. Like we're just here. I kept saying like, this is it. Like I kept saying this phrase like, this is it. This is what it's all about.
Michael
And
Jackson?
I felt great. Yeah. I was just like, this is it. This is everything. This is what it's all about. And then I kept going, and I was like, well, if I'm enlightened, if I figured out, why do I have to keep living? Like, why do I have to keep existing? Like, what the fuck? And then I started to get scared, because it's like, what, so I just have to keep going? Like, I'm done, you know? And then, I don't know, I'm seeing humans as a species or seeing conscious, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I think, like, whatever we're here doing, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Like, as simple as that. Like the earth, like a bird's job is to eat bugs and to pollinate plants. That's what it does. It doesn't worry about it, that's just what it does. That's how it functions on Earth. And if a bird flies into a window and dies, the Earth isn't going to stop spinning, and life isn't going to stop happening because that bird died, right? So it's like the same thing. Like, my job is to do whatever the fuck I'm doing at that moment and, like, live, and that's what keeps the Earth going. But also, it's not so important that, like, I have the world, the universe doesn't need me around. You know what I mean? And I think as spirits or as conscious souls or whatever, however you want to put it, I believe, like I said, I believe in reincarnation. I think we're a collective conscious. It sounds really silly because like I said, we don't know what's going on, and I feel like we're as a collective conscious, we're meant to learn. Like, that's what we're trying to do, is like we're just trying to learn as we go. And that's why I think that, like, culture has progressed a certain way and has been progressing since, like, the beginning of recorded time. That's what I think. The other option for the meaning of life is Chipotle.
What's it called? My interpretation of the meaning of life.
Quite profound. Thank you.
Yeah. Is I believe if you look at technology and how great technology has gotten, it's an upward graph, and at a certain point it just went straight up. I believe that we as people have found perfection, but in being imperfect like we are now, we have to solve problems on a daily basis. We're not perfect. We desire perfection. Imagine being perfect, you would desire imperfection. So I believe that living is the last recollection of what life was like. It's like we are living now to be imperfect. We enjoy this. You know, we enjoy crying from the afterlife, maybe. You know, we enjoy struggle from the afterlife. So I believe we live in a simulation, and life is perfect. Life is everything in God's world is perfect. So with that being said, when we die, whatever we actually are, aside from human, spiritually, we're not. That's a perfect world. So right now, I wish I was perfect. I wish I could be fucking the best comedian of all time. Is that perfection? Maybe not. Maybe I'll fucking whip my dick out in front of, like, aspiring women comedians. You know what I mean? There's like this weird balance of imperfection that we live in right now. And I believe the afterlife is perfect. That's why we choose to come back in reincarnation and whatnot.
Weirdly, like the monologue from The Matrix scared me a little bit.
You're welcome.
We tried making one that was utopia for you, and you wouldn't accept it. Like, it's the smell.
And even in that, like,
scared the crap out of it.
And in that juggle, it's like, what is life? You know, nobody knows the answer. But it is what it is. I mean, honestly, it would be trippy to me if we were the only things living, right? If there was no aliens.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to think that this is the only time it's ever happened.
I just like the idea of, like, we've been visiting. I don't know why this is always just a funny thought to me when it comes to aliens. I mean, context.
We don't need context.
I need context. It's everything.
You are the context.
You're the context. What was he saying? Fucking brain fart. You can't stop me. I have ADD.
Aliens.
It fucks with me. Thank you. I just like that people assume that aliens are not as dumb as we are. Like, oh, we'll be visited soon. It's like, why would you think that? Like, what if we're the first ones to create space travel? What if we are the smartest ones thus far and they're all just a bunch of fucking idiots and that's why we can't find them? That's just really funny to me.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. Fucking dumbass nerds.
That would be a universe full of morons.
Someone has to be first. What if we are first?
The aliens are like, look at these stupid, really tripping.
There's Just like some weird guy named Gleek Lord with a giant telescope. Like, look at those fucking idiots.
Yeah,
And then he drops the telescope. He's like, fuck, I don't know how to build one of those.
Orders pizza.
I found one.
Yeah, Ramdas talked about that a lot.
He's told him a bunch of bitch ass nerds.
No, when you are imperfect, you crave perfection. And when you live perfectly, you crave imperfection. I heard this talk about a mother that had a kid who had past life memories, and they asked her, "Why do you think we come back if we reincarnate?" And very similar to what he said, like she said, well, she thinks that maybe like there's things that we can't experience in our other forms, or whatever that is. Like maybe like we want to be like we can't touch each other, like we can't embrace each other, we can't eat an ice cream cone, we can't cry, we can't feel that, we can't like miss somebody that we love because they're always like we're all connected or whatever. So like that's why we keep coming back, is to feel things, to experience imperfection, and to like be part of suffering, and to remember what like the suffering is, so that way we can be grateful for the love and for the happiness.
I promise you I've had enough of the suffering. Guys, thank you guys so much for coming through today and chopping it up and just being a part of my space.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it.
Good to meet you, Jesus.
You guys are dope as fuck. Subscribe, share this. I love you guys as always. Peace. Deuces.